Welcome to Q&A Mondays here at MH News. I'm your host, Matt Haslam. Now, if you have a question for the show, please email them to questions@mhnews.info. You can also comment below on Facebook or YouTube, and while you're down there, give us a like and subscribe to our channel for plenty of great content to come. New episodes air every Monday and Thursday. And speaking of which, this Thursday we're going behind the scenes of a 16-hour-long production on set this past weekend. We're going behind the scenes of all that goodness. I learned a ton this past weekend that I cannot wait to start using for my own productions, and I can't wait to pass along that information and teach you guys some of what I've learned. So tune in this Thursday for that. It might be a little bit long of an episode, but it's definitely worth it. There's a lot to cover. So that's what we're doing on Thursday. But today, first question: what is your biggest takeaway from personal experience when it comes to communicating with both director and crew? For the most part, you have to understand I've only dealt with being a director on productions. I have not had an insane amount of experience as a crew member only. For the most part, I'm a director, or at least a DP, so director of photography. So as a crew member, I think your opinion matters. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from it. You have to understand that it's not about titles. You know, you might have a title on your shirt or something like that just so new people coming on set understand who's who. But for the most part, I think in filmmaking, you have this community where it's not so much about the titles, it's about the project, and it's about helping each other out and communicating with one another and having that open line of communication, because that's vital to the success of any project, really. If you're a cameraman and you have ideas and you don't speak up, then I don't want you on set. If you have ideas to help the project, even if it's a bad idea, you know, it's your job as a director to choose what ideas to go with. But I think you have to realize, no matter if you're a PA, a production assistant, a cameraman, or a director, you can still have the same quality of an idea to help the project. And one of the really cool examples of this is this past weekend we were on set, and basically we're trying to create this scene, and one cameraman that was on set said, "Hey, how about we put this blue chair over here?" And the DP said, "Okay, how about we put this table right next to it?" And I said, "Well, this next interviewee is talking about two veterans, and so how about we put a picture of these two veterans in a picture frame on that table?" And as a unit, as a whole, we came up with a brilliant background for that scene. And so I think that's the most vital thing I've learned, is that you're a team, that you're not alone, and you rely on other people to help you out. And it's the thing where, you know, if lighting's not right, you rely on cameramen to tell you, "Hey, this doesn't look right." And so if you're on production, I think, you know, if you're afraid to speak up, that's bad. And I think that all starts with the director saying, "Hey, I want you to speak up. I want you to give ideas." And it's up to the director whether or not to choose those ideas. But I think having that open line of communication, and not only communicating about the project, but also trying to let other people learn as well. So like, I was on set with another cameraman and a DP who are both very open to me being on set, and both of them were trying to teach me as much as they possibly could, and I taught them as much as I possibly could. You know, so it's a thing where we all try to work together and we teach each other in the end. So definitely communication is key, but I think you have to forget about the titles. At the end of the day, yes, the director has the final say, but forget about titles, because it's a collaborative effort. And, you know, I really only want to work with crew or directors that are open to me speaking up and saying, "Hey, I think this will make a better scene in the end." And I think speaking up is the most important thing, and knowing that your opinion matters. Next question: what's more important to invest in, lighting or lenses, if you already have a basic setup for each? I would honestly say lighting, because I've had this question many times before of what camera or what lenses to get. I've answered it plenty of times, not only in the show, but in real life on set and stuff like that. So people can keep on saying, "What's the best camera or lens?" And it gets tiring to answer that over and over again. Because, and I'm sorry if you're one of the people that asked that question, I don't mean any offense to you, but I've had that asked a lot. Basically, a real good example of this, again, is this past weekend where we had two giant cameras that are massively expensive. We had a Panasonic camera that was, I think, probably like 10 grand or something like that. And that was a really nice camera. And then we had a Canon huge studio quality camera, like a shoulder cam, huge thing with this huge cinema lens on it. And they were both really nice cameras to work with. And then we had a GH2 camera, which is in between a studio quality camera and a DSLR, kind of. That had a huge cinema lens on it, and everything was hooked up to an Atomos Ninja Blade recorder to get external recording as well. And then we all, so you think, oh, they're fantastic cameras, but at the same time, you have both a Canon T5i and a Canon T2i, which are cheap cameras that you typically think aren't good enough for studio quality video. Both those cameras were running as well. So you have this thing where it really doesn't matter what camera you have in the end. They're all getting 1920 by 1080p at 30 frames per second. I think the Canon studio quality with the cinema lens, I think that got like 60 frames per second that day. But, for the most part, I mean, they're all getting the same quality video. So it doesn't matter, the video part. So, I mean, I've seen fantastic films made with $200 cameras with crappy lenses, but because the lighting was right, that made the film. And, if you white balance right and you do your lighting correct, we had 5 cameras of all different types there, all different types of brands, whether it be Canon, Lumix, Panasonic, we had 3 different types of cameras there and 5 different types of those. So it's like, it really doesn't matter what camera you have or what lenses. You can make a fantastic film with a $200 camera. So it just goes to prove the lighting is key. You need to do lighting. You need to have a massive amount of lighting equipment to do video. So invest in lighting. Next question. What every cinematographer must know? Well, I think to call yourself a cinematographer requires that you're able to walk on set and within 30 seconds, you know exactly what you need to do. You know where you're going to place your cameras at, where you're going to place your lights at, what types of lights those are going to be, how strong those lights are going to be on, whether you need diffusion, what all you need. I think that's vital. 30 seconds. And does not sound like a lot of time, but you need to know it within 30 seconds. Because otherwise you're going to be taking up a lot of time on set trying to figure it out. And, this time you just don't have. Because you need to be able to communicate to your crew, hey, this is what we need to do really quick. And if they ask, what should I do next? You need to have something for them. You need to say, hey, we need to do this next. We need to do that next, And after you're done that, go do this, You need to be a director as a cinematographer almost of the lighting and the cameras and stuff like that. You're not a director of audio, but you're a director of the camera people. So you need to know all that to be a great cinematographer. And if you don't know that, the only way you can learn is through experience. And I think the best way to get experience is just ask a friend, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a brother, sister, whatever, to sit in a chair and you light them. That's it. If you don't have access to a person to sit there for an hour or two to help you out, then grab something out of your kitchen. Go to your kitchen, grab something off the shelf, like this undisclosed type of beverage. Like you don't know what it is. But basically just grab it and do a product shot. If you know how to do a product shot, if you know how to light a product, and you know how to capture cinematography on a product, you know how to light pretty much anything. Because a product is so much harder to light than a person, just because it can be reflective. Being inanimate is actually harder than being something that moves. So it's weird. But capture it, really, like just sit it on a desk. Doesn't have to be a backdrop thing or whatever. You could if you wanted to. But just practice with something. And then at the end of the day, take that footage that you got and just review it over and over and over again. And don't put it out there. And I know a lot of people put out their test footage of it. Do not do that. I hate seeing that because it's like you're putting out crappy stuff. You know you're putting out crappy stuff because it's a test. So what I'll typically do with the footage afterwards is I'll take some footage that I shot like a month ago, and I'll look at some footage that I just shot yesterday, and I'll say, how much progress did I make? You know, how far have I come in cinematography? What did I learn over the course of that month, lighting all these different types of scenes? What did I learn from doing cinematography on this? And at the end of the day, I'll come home, and on my way home, I'll turn the radio off. I don't listen to radio on the way home. I reflect on the day, see what I've learned, and I'll think, you know, how can I use that in the future? What have I learned from this person? What have I learned from that person? You know, and all that's valuable time to reflect. I think reflection is a great part of cinematography, so keep that in mind. Last question: how do I white balance like a ninja, especially when moving between locations and different types of times of the day? How you white balance like a ninja would be basically look on your waveform display, look on your RGB display, zebra prints and stuff like that. But if you don't have a camera that can do all that, then the best way to white balance like a ninja is to have something pure white in your scene. So for instance, very beginning of this scene, we had a clapboard that had pure white on it. We also have the paper in the background that has pure white. So we white balance to that. Main thing you got to know about white balancing is to know your Kelvin temperature of your lights, and that's vital. You plug that Kelvin temperature into your camera before shooting, because then you won't have, if you white balance your camera correctly and you shoot it correctly, you won't have much post work to do at all, and that's what you're looking for to white balance like a ninja, because the less time it takes to do in post, the better you did at white balancing in camera. And that's how you white balance like a ninja. And you can white balance like a ninja with an Atomos Ninja recorder, and that's a really great product for white balancing, so, and also recording, so keep all that in mind. But that's our question for today. If you have any questions for the show, email them to questions@mhnews.info. Check us out this Thursday. We're going behind the scenes of a 16-hour long day on location for a TV broadcast that's coming out in June. So lots of stuff to learn from Thursday's episode behind the scenes. So check that out. And thanks for joining us today. And join us back here every Monday and Thursday from now on. Have a good one.